Concerts in Japan are a big deal, and seeing how beautiful the idols are, no one could blame them. Fans all over follow their performances religiously. Whether in person or from TV, they all have one obsession in common: pure, old lust. The admiration of beauty was interrupted when Doc was found simping in the hospital. He even started sobbing after finding out she was taking a break. His obsession for the idols started when an adorable patient of his introduced him to her. She kept dreaming about being reborn into an idol's household and engraved the idea and love into our hopeless doctor. Alas, soon after she passed away at 12 years of age. The doctor went into the room and started questioning a pregnant 16-year-old. Lo and behold, it was AY, his favorite idol inside the hospital. I wonder who got her knocked up, and to make matters worse for her, they were twins. The doc wasn't feeling too well after hearing the news, and he tried cheering her up. However, she was bursting with energy. He was the one who was feeling depressed. She told him she'd keep the children a secret and continue being an idol. Talk about an independent woman. Weeks passed as she was getting ready, and it was finally time for the delivery. Later that night, the doc was jumped by a stalker and was killed on the spot. He started reminiscing about his previous patient, and his memories started flashing. A little while later, he gained consciousness as Aoyasi's little son. Would you look at that? He was actually reborn into an idol's household. Dreams do come true. Ai was now the mother of two, Ruby and Aqua. Despite giving birth, she still looked amazing. Her manager Ichigo kept on pestering her about her career and forbade her to be seen with the kids. His wife Miyako was in charge of taking care of them while she was away. And she wasn't having it, to be honest. Ai went on TV and started giving a remarkable performance. Everyone was dazzled, and her kids were glued to the TV. She sure was a wonder to behold. Ruby was also someone who was reborn, given her outstanding obsession with her.
You're just an ugly old hag!
Meanwhile, the stalker was getting frustrated. Back at home, the siblings' rivalry continued as usual. Miyako was getting quite frustrated taking care of her children. In fact, she was plotting of schemes to expose AY. However, the children started speaking like divine messengers and scared the life out of her. Who would blame her? Two infants speaking with such eloquence.
Behave thyself. I am the vessel of Amaterasu. Should thou not desist of such heinous action, divine punishment shall be visited upon thee.
She was hooked and turned into a loyal housewife. These siblings have a bright future ahead of them. I, on the other hand, was growing worried since her paycheck wasn't as much as she expected. She had high ambitions for them, and Aqua was explaining the situation to Ruby. Miyako told her that their agency was doing their best, but it was a tough business and there was nothing they could do about it. AY was training hard as usual, and luckily for her, the siblings went ahead to support one of her concerts. The fans gobbled up her cuteness, and she certainly gave the fans what they came here for. It's been a year since then, and the children grew up into confident children. AY brought them to a photo shoot and they were glad to be there. The director met up with Aqua and asked him to do a shoot with him. He then explained to him what life would look like if he joined Ed, and the shoot officially started. He was looking quite sharp. Unfortunately, they cut out the majority of her, part causing the kids a lot of frustration.
He called the director, who explained the harsh truth of the industry. Afterward, they both went to him to work on a low-budget film. It seems that Aqua was getting a chance to work on something major. They met up with another child actress, Kana, who kept on giving Aqua a hard time. Was she jealous of him or something? It was now time for the shoot. Kana and Aqua acted their lines, and Aqua killed it. Kana broke down in tears and felt worthless after watching his play. The director encouraged his acting and told him to keep it up. If he followed this path, he will surely make it big. It's been 3 years since the shoot, and A had found enormous success since then. Her children bonded with her well and even started school. The siblings had quite the complex characteristics. They demonstrated adult behavior and felt emotions
only grown-ups go through. A tried teaching Ruby how to dance, and this caused her previous memories to flood in. Watching I was the only thing that brought her hope back then, and this passion allowed her to dance freely in the present. I, on the other hand, called her previous lover after hearing her kids talk about their father. Ichigo and Maiko were extremely glad since everyone was succeeding. Her love for the children grew, and their trust in her was at an all-time high. A received a bell ring and went to answer the door. Her life flashed before her eyes as she was stabbed by the stalker. What the hell happened here? Did he really stab her? She sat there speaking to Aqua and Ruby and telling them how much she loved them. Someone tell me this isn't happening. Where are the tissues? I need a whole pack of them. She really passed away. What a sad day in Japan. Everyone mourned her death, and even the stalker committed suicide. This is truly heartbreaking. Fortunately for the kids, Machiko took them in as one of her own. Ruby and Aqua seemed devastated. Aqua, on the other hand, was trying to deduce who the stalker was. He came to the conclusion that his father had all the answers and decided to exact revenge on him. He went to the director and asked him to raise him. Years later, these two grew up and joined high school, ready to kickstart their new life. They both went to a prestigious school, and Ruby decided to follow her mother's path and became an idol. All of a sudden, she turned into the star of the show, but Aqua wasn't willing to give up the spotlight that easily. She insisted on becoming an idol, even though he was against it. The percentage of success was quite low, and he encouraged her to focus on her studies instead. Now that's the logical approach of going about things. Aqua turned out into the decisive figure. Ichigo bailed on them, and Maiko was trying to hold things together. Now that I was gone, they were trying to find a way to build the agency. Just then, Ruby received a call telling her she didn't get the role. Reality sure is harsh. Elsewhere, Aqua was learning from the director and planned for ways to stop Ruby. Despite his best efforts, Ruby went out and found a scout willing to give her a shot. Miyako tried talking Aqua out of it and letting Ruby follow her dreams, even so. Aqua wasn't willing to let her go down the same path. He even disguised himself as a scout and interrogated one of the idols to learn the details of another agency. This guy is going to end up as a villain. Who knew he'd end up as a mastermind? The following day, Ruby dressed up and was ready to go to the audition. She desperately wanted to become an idol, and Maiko offered her a job at their agency. Strawberry Productions was now in operation. Aqua was doing odd jobs with the director in hopes of inheriting his job, and eventually infiltrating the movie industry to find out who his actual father really was. I told you he'd end up as a mastermind. The director kept on insisting he try his luck as an actor, and his mother kept on interrupting his serious speech. A middle-aged man living with his parents, that's the life of a struggling director for you. While in school, guessed who Aqua ran into? Yape, the former child actress Kana, who was super ecstatic to be in the same school as him. Aqua introduced her to his sister, and she seemed upset about it. I guess she wanted him for herself. After school, she kept on bugging him, trying to get his attention. Someone is falling in love here. He kept on blowing her off, but she was super persistent. She asked him if he was acting and asked him out on a date, even though he refused on the spot. She even followed him back to the director's house and kept on asking him questions of his acting business. Afterward, they got together to enjoy a wholesome meal together, whilst the director and Kana seemed to get along. Kana tried using the director to persuade Aqua to join, but he wasn't budging an inch. After mentioning the director, we were shown a flashback of Aqua trying to hack into A's phone. Two of them were a bust, but one of them had a passcode, and it took him months and years to actually get it right. Talk about patience and resolve. And within the contacts list with a guy named Kamaragi, the director she was working with. He accepted her offer and told her to put in a good word for him. This sudden change of heart left her bewildered. Ruby, on the other hand, did not take the news well. She felt as if he was beating her to the spot. However, she embraced the position and was proud of him. They were family after all. The show was called Sweet Day, as an Aqua was meant to play a villain. It was a lame rom-com which was unbearable to watch. Ruby was shocked upon watching clips of it, and so was Miyako. Nevertheless, Kana defended the show with her life and broke down trying to convince him it was a good opportunity. Even the author was devastated about how the show ended up. Even so, Kana explained to him that it was about going out there and making a name in the industry. Since Aqua had ulterior motives for doing it, he was down to try it out. These two might have a chance together after all. The next day, they went to an abandoned warehouse and met up with the main actor, who was completely conceited. Kana tried introducing him to everyone and even the director. Aqua was focused on one thing alone, finding the truth of his mother's death. The scene was underway, and Aqua killed the role as a stalker. Kana motivated him to continue the great work, and he had finally secured the director's DNA. Everything was going according to plan. The warehouse was starting to leak, and they were at the end of their shoot. Kana was ready to give it her all, and she started speaking of her past. She was raised as a child prodigy and started acting at a very young age. After she grew up, she lost her fame and tried desperately to get back into showbiz. This was finally her opportunity to shine. She tried acting her heart out, but the main star failed her. Just then, Aqua pulled off master level of acting. He managed to kill it and brought the best out of his character. A real stalker in the making. Kana played her role superbly and things worked out well. Who knows? This might be the chance Kana has been waiting for. The editors were working on the footage and loved Aqua's acting. Even the author was surprised and broke down into tears. The reviews were 5 stars and the actors got together to celebrate. The author walked up to Kana and showed her gratitude. Aqua met up with the director and after running his DNA found out that he wasn't the father. The director started speaking about Ai and how he used to give her odd jobs now and then. This sparked the curiosity of Aqua, who demanded to know more. However, in return for the information, the director wanted him to do a dating show. The following day, Kana greeted the siblings to school and introduced them to the most prestigious art school in Japan. I guess she wanted to make a good impression. Ruby felt embarrassed, but luckily, she made a new friend. Is it that easy for girls to make friends? Aqua struck out and wasn't putting up with Ruby's pompous attitude. While in class, Ruby met up with her idol and was infatuated. Aqua saw her walking and called out to her, Frill, who was one of the most successful students in class. Ruby wanted to become an idol so bad, since everyone was working on a platform aside of her. Talk about a bummer! The following day, Ruby started stalking Chena, and Aqua recommended her to join the Strawberry Productions agency. He sent her a text to meet up after class, and she assumed it was a date. She went to the bathroom to freshen up and headed to the park. However, she was bummed after seeing Ruby there. And they started telling her about the agency. They asked her to become an idol, and Ruby asked her to think about it. For some reason, Ruby reminded her of Ai, and she was a huge fan of her. Aqua bent the knee and begged her to join for the sake of Ruby. His charms persuaded her to join though. I guess she was unable to resist him. Ruby and Kana tried to get along and they found common ground talking about Aqua. Elsewhere, Aqua joined the dating show as per the request of the director. Kana seemed devastated after watching him, and even Ruby was bummed. They were both quite jealous of this, and Kana lost hope of ever being with him. Aqua was trying his best to act normal, all for the sake of finding the stalker. Reality shows weren't easy and wasn't as enjoyable for the actors. Everything is fake, and Aqua wasn't that type of guy. Even so, he had a mask on and could go about doing anything. Back at home, Ruby kept choosing girls for him. He left her to shoot, and she was discussing future plans with Kana. They tried deciding for a group name, and both of them were solar opposites of one another. Miyako came for the rescue and told them to shoot a social media promo. Miyako called in a social media fitness influencer in hopes of boosting their views. He got them to wear a costume and started shooting his weird fitness video. They started working out like crazy, and he worked them to the bone. I still can't believe they were able to keep up with his tempo. This is difficult for anyone to handle, let alone idols. I have a newfound respect for these two. Back at the dating show, drama was ensuing when one of the actors started breaking down. She wanted to quit the show and left everyone at the edge of their seat. Told you everything was fake, but then again, it is called acting. It's not supposed to be real. Ekwa tried studying everyone to get a better understanding of how he should be moving forward. He went out to eat with everyone and started bonding over some food. Ruby's jealousy was beyond words and kept on screaming at him. It's kinda adorable that she cares so much about him. She started asking him what the cast is like, and he explained the characteristics of everyone. The show was going really well, and the cast started playing into their role well. However, one of the actors, Akan, was finding it hard trying to blend in, and the director was getting upset. She felt miserable since she was lagging behind. Elsewhere, Ruby and Kana got into a fight as usual, and both of them were confused on what to do moving forward. They were both desperate for fame but didn't seem to get any action. Aqua was doing well though, and Akane was giving it her all to get as much screen time as possible. She tried stealing the boys and making a fuss. She had to try her best before she got fired. One day, another girl, Yuki, tried stealing her man, and she accidentally cut her face. Yuki hugged her tight and told her it was okay, since it was an honest mistake. Akane broke down into tears and tried apologizing. However, the media wasn't taking it too well. The internet started bashing Akane and things grew worse for her. Her morale started plummeting and the hatred got through to her. She eventually fell into depression, and even her classmates were against her, calling her names behind her back. Soon enough, Akane was unable to handle it and eventually gave up on life. She decided to forfeit her life and went to the bridge to end things. Just as she was about to jump, Aqua saved her in the nick of time. How did he know she was going to jump? Elsewhere, Kana was talking about how the internet was a cruel and callous place. Miyako then iterated how several actors committed suicide because of this. Kana was once a bullied online and knows how it feels like. Just then, Miyako received a phone call from the police station and went to get him. Aqua really did a great job, huh? Akane's friends came and hugged her out, trying to console her. Aqua suggested she quit, but Akane wanted to fight for her position. The cast agreed to help her out, and their bond grew even more. The news of Akane's attempt got out, and people didn't know how to react to it. Aqua, on the other hand, wanted to reveal the truth of the reality show to the world. He wanted to shoot a point of view and reveal how the show tends to manipulate certain scenes. The rest of the cast agreed to help him, and Aqua's plan was set in motion. He went up to the main editor and asked to get some footage, even though he refused. After persuading him a bit, he got some footage and started editing like a pro. It was finally time for the upload, and the video was doing remarkably well. Akin saw it and felt a sigh of relief. The internet changed its mind, and everything went back to normal. They then told her to play a character instead of being herself. They asked Aqua what kind of girl she should play, and he started describing Ai, and Akane agreed. She spent her night studying every move of Ai Hoshino, the legendary idol. After analyzing every detail, she was finally proficient. Meanwhile, Kana was asking Aqua how the show was doing, and the next day, Akan came back looking completely different. She had transformed overnight. Akane grew up learning how to act, and she was a master at what she did. Not even the cast recognized her. Everyone was drawn into her appeal and confidence. That's the power of Ai Hoshino for you. Even Aqua became submissive to her and went out feeling flustered. The girls started teasing her about her new crush, and Kana was quite upset about the whole matter. Aqua kept on looking at different images of Ai, trying to understand his feelings. The next day, Kana was feeling confused while walking on the street. Nothing seems to be going her way until Aqua ran into her and asked her out. They skipped school and went to play catch inside a baseball stadium. Now this was weird. Kana was expecting he'd take her to a fancy restaurant or something. This is not how she imagined her date to go. Unless, of course, he saw her as a friend. Poor Kana. She was friend-zoned this early. She tried getting out of it and seducing him. But he wasn't feeling it. He went back to the show and met up with Akane. And after realizing that Akane knew more about Ai than him, my guy was completely smitten. The show was reaching its finale, and Aqua gave Akane a warm kiss, causing Kana to cry in her bed. Love sure is complicated, but hey, the show was finally over, and the cast gathered to celebrate. Aqua was on a mission and headed towards the director seeking the truth. He tried to criticize him about the video he uploaded, but let it slide for now. They set up an appointment for next week, and Aqua went back inside. He and Akane tried to talk about their relationship, and they decided to stay as a couple for a while. The next day, Mem showed up to audition for an idol role at the Strawberry Productions. I have a feeling Aqua was behind all of this. Miyako accepted her to the agency, and she started narrating her background to them. She always wanted to be an idol, but her family fell into problems, and she had to work to cover things. After all that happened, she ended up becoming a live streamer. Kana and Ruby came in and started crying after hearing her story. They all cordially welcomed her to the agency, and Kana gave Aqua some attitude for his kiss with Akane. Ruby was feeling down about the kiss as well, until they were interrupted by the genius Frill, who was also a fan of the dating show. It seems the entire school was hooked. Elsewhere, Mem used her channel to boost their popularity, and Ruby was super excited for the upcoming changes. They went to learn how to dance and started getting the hang of becoming an idol. Aqua tried to bury the hatchet with Kana, but her feelings towards him remained the same. He then met up with the director, who started to confess the truth about A. He told him that he introduced her to a workshop, and that's where she found her first love. The director then told him that he'd help him get there if he's willing to find the truth about the matter. Meanwhile, the trio found a new gig and decided to audition for it. They started teasing one another and having fun throwing shade at each other. Girls sure have a weird way of bonding. Later on, Ruby and Mem went to a karaoke spot to compete for the center role. After all, an idol group requires someone in the spotlight. Episode 10? The following day, they tried persuading Kana to be the center after they both reached a stalemate. After all, Kana was a genius actor, and she would shine being the main focus of attention. Kana refused on the spot, and they ended up practicing together. Their horrible voice convinced her, and Miyako came in to make sure everything was all right. The fitness influencer also came in to help them exercise and keep their stamina up. After all, idols are required to perform for a long period of time. Kana was still bummed about the whole thing, and the fitness influencer tried motivating her to like the spot. After talking for a while, these two turned out as good friends. Is she falling for him? Because she did a complete 180 and her speech pattern even changed. But guess what? It was Aqua who was pretending to be the fitness influencer. Talk about an unexpected plot twist. Later that night, Ruby was so excited she was unable to sleep. Kana tried forcing her to shut up, but she kept on narrating her story and how much she longed to become an idol. She fell asleep while talking, and Kana went out to grab a drink. Just then, she saw Aqua taking out the mask and was shocked to her core. The following day, the trio met up to prepare for the event, and Kana was feeling a tad bit confused. They went to the dressing room, and it was hella hectic. All the chaos was too much to handle for Kanii, who was falling apart. Her emotions were getting the best of her, and her past memories started flooding in. All the time she was declined started increasing her anxiety. Ruby was feeling nervous, and these two shared a moment. After receiving a pep talk, they went for it. It was finally time for the performance. The stage was crowded with passionate fans, and the trio gave them one heck of a show. Who knew these three would make a killing? All their hard work was finally showing, and some hardcore fans started to see glimpses of A and Ruby. This feels like the start of something great for them. Kana's past was gloomy and depressing. But now, all of that changed. Even Aqua came to support them. And boy, did they give us a show to remember. Afterward, they met up with Aqua, who gave them some words of encouragement inside the car. He revealed that his relationship with Akane was just for work, and Kana lightened it up. Mem understood her feelings, and things were looking up. The next day, she confronted him about wearing the mask, and her feelings started to burst out. Ruby and Mem were eavesdropping, and later on, the director tried convincing his friend to hire Aqua. After all, he did promise to help him find clues on Ai. Akane and Aqua met up to take photos for social media, and apparently they were both hired for the same job. Again, Akane seemed excited about the project until Kana came to ruin the parade. These two were bitter rivals since they both grew up acting. The acting industry sure is deadly. To make matters worse for Akane, Kana was playing her antagonist in the movie. This seems promising. Well, that's all for this episode. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to stay updated on future content.